Hello and welcome. In this video we're going to do an experiment with pedal kits where we change out the diodes, which is an electrical part in the circuit. If you build a guitar kit, you most likely know what I'm talking about. This video is part of something that I've told you about earlier. A while back, a year ago or something like that, I made a video about starting out with building and making your own pedals. And in that video I suggested that you would build a pedal kit and that you would then after that experiment with changing things out and modding that kit. And that could be a great way of learning how to build pedals. If you've been subscribed for a while or if you've watched some of my other videos, you might know of this. This is a pedal kit from Music.ly. It's called the Ross. Anyway, it will be linked in the description below if you want to pick it up for yourself. I started out with having this as something that we could have in common. If you wanted to have a kit that you were building and that you were experimenting with, we could build and experiment with the same thing together. Because when you buy it, you don't only get the kit to build it, but you get the schematic and the papers. And in this video we're going to take a look at that, but we're just going to get a little bit of look at it, a little start at it. So don't get overexcited because we're just beginning in this video. We're just starting out. I also want to open up this pedal here just to show you why I think you should start out with modding something like a pedal kit. I think you will have an easier and better time going that route. And I'll open this one up real quick just to show you the inside so you can compare the two pedals and see the difference between the two. Because you can mod pedals like this one right here, but I wouldn't recommend you start out there, at least. So, in this video, we're gonna do a little bit of experiment. We're also gonna try out a little bit of different parts instead of just the diode clipping. And we're also gonna experiment with having the diode clipping happening at different places. Just a little bit, as a sort of taste of modding and beginning. I'm gonna do more videos like this one that is a little bit more in depth and that is going a little bit more into it, but I want to start out just doing a little bit. So hopefully this will be cool. So let's get to it. Okay, so here is the pedal. The Boss DS1. Says, oh, right there. And if we turn it over, we have 4 screws. And they're super easy to remove. Just turn it around and it pops out. And then we can just lift off the back. And this is what you see on the inside. As you can see, there really isn't much in it. You might think, oh, this pedal doesn't need to be this big. And in a way, you're right. And the reason why is because all of this space was previously really occupied. If you look at an old one and not a new one, you'll see that there's a lot more. And that's because if you look really closely, all these parts here, there's this little blobs, these small little black dots that you might think are nothing because they're so small. They are capacitors and resistors and diodes and yeah. And when we build pedal kits, we see these parts as being this size. And as you can see, they're a lot bigger. Now I could keep on taking these out and putting them here, but when we open the other one, you'll see that when we build a kit guitar, we don't get the same thing as when we buy pedals. And so you can definitely mod this. I'm not going to say that you can't, and I'm going to at some point show you how to do that if you're interested in it, because you can definitely get in here and mess around. But if you're a beginner, if you're just starting out, I would strongly advise you not to mess around in this, because it is a lot harder. Alright? I hope you understand what it is I'm trying to say. I know that some of you who are watching this have already modded these pedals and you know exactly how hard or easy it is, and you might think that I'm, giving bad advice or something. But if you don't even know really how to solder, I would strongly suggest you stay away from this at the moment. We can come back to things later when we are more prepared for them. And we'll just have, an easier time then. Doesn't have to mean anything bad. We don't have to feel strongly about it. Let's open up the other one. Alright, so here we have the pedal kit, the DRoss, or just Ross. And yeah, we turn it over and we take out the screws to open it up. Obviously, this is something that I've built myself, and if you're following along, you've already built this. And I have a video on this, so if you have the kit and you're already confused, yeah, this has shown up before on the channel, so you can find it there if you want to. And for me, it's just 3 screws, and then we can take this off and we can look inside. Here we have it, and there's a lot going on in here, but not really. For this video, we need to ignore these because this is from a mod video I did. So if you're looking at your pedal and you're looking at my pedal and it looks a little bit different, it's because I've already done a video on modding this that didn't get that much attention. So if you haven't seen it, it might be because it's buried under a lot of other things. But anyway, let's see if we can get a closer look here on the board. So, as you probably can tell, these parts are a lot bigger. If we go back to the things I held in my hand, for example, you can see that this is the sort of sizes that we're used to. And when you get a pedal kit and when you start building things, these things are easy to solder in place. It's barely a challenge, to be honest. And we can, for example, see here the mod that I've done, where you can see right there the symbols for the diode clipping, which is basically 2 little squares with a line on each side that indicate direction, and I've basically just moved them to switches so that I can switch them around. I think that changing up the diodes is a very easy and simple way to go about customizing your pedal or just messing around and see what happens. And so now we're first going to take a little look at the schematic briefly, and then we're going to start off doing a little bit of sound experiments with this kit, changing some parts around, messing around, and see what happens. And this will be sort of a starting off point. This is not a how-to. I'm not suggesting that you do what I'm doing. I'm just having fun experimenting. And I think that if you go in with that idea, that you're just going to have fun and experiment and see what happens and listening to everything and see what sort of changes are occurring, then this won't be as daunting for you as it might be if you think that what you have to do is turn this from a pedal that is okay into a pedal that is the greatest thing ever. And if I blow up this kit, then you'll at least learn not to do what I just did. All right? That's another thing that you're just going to have to learn to accept. If you're doing experiments with electronics, you might fry parts and have to replace them. It sounds like a big deal, I know, because it sounds scary, but it's not a big deal. If you do pedal builds and modding things and all these sort of electronical things, you're eventually gonna screw up. That's just the name of the game. I have made tons of mistakes, so don't be scared. All right? Good. Okay, so here we have the schematic for this pedal. This is what you get when you buy the kit. If you buy the kit, there will be a link for you to download these papers that help you build the pedal. We're not going to go super deep into this or anything like that, but here you can see, for example, the little IC right there, and you can see some of the resistors. If you buy the kit and you build it, this will make a lot more sense than me just giving you an overview right here, because, for example, you would have put R8 there. You would have put it in its place, and you would know it's a 10K because you looked it up and made sure it was a 10K. So you will also learn about this while you're doing it. That's another reason why getting a pedal kit and starting out that way might be good for you. What I want you to pay attention to is over here. So this is our output, and we have a volume that is 50K on the volume. And the volume is connected to ground. That's what this thicker little line down here means. There are a couple of different ways you can see ground, but we're not going to go through it in this. Just know that on these papers, that's how we know it's going to ground. So all of these that you see here, they're all connected to ground. So here's an output, and it's connected to a volume pot, which is the thing that looks like this. Again, if you've built the kit, you know this. And the volume is connected to this capacitor here and to these diode clippings. And these diode clippings, they're facing different ways, one that way and the other one that way, and they're going to ground. Basically, clipping your signal to ground. That is what's happening, and it's happening on the output. And that means that if we look at this kit, what we can do to change things around in here is we can cut these wires here. And now, because I've cut these, we don't have anything connected here. And we can connect whatever we want in between these. We have the little symbol there that shows that one of the diodes is going this way, and the other one is going that way. That's why I've connected these wires with different colors. But we can also look at the schematic and see that the only thing that is in between the clipping and the output is a capacitor and a potentiometer. So we can, for example, change that around and make experiments with that. For example, we can find the out on this pedal kit. You'll see it written there. That's the out. So these are alligator clippers. And what they're good for is that they have these teeth. And you can connect things. For example, let's take this thing here I'm holding and say that I wanted to attach it to something. I can just take the alligator clippers like this, and the signal can pass through. Now, when you buy alligator clippers, they are attached. They come as one long wire with two on each end. And I've cut it in half. Actually, I've cut it more than in half because these are pretty short. And I've stripped them back, which means removing the plastic, exposing the inner copper wire. And then I've pre-tinned them, which means just adding tin to the wires before you add them to anything else. So there are already some solder on them. And we are going to attach them to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the clipping. So if we look at here, I'm going to move the clipping from being here to being here. So basically, if I have something to point with, this pot here is not going to be after the clipping. This one is moving over here. This one is staying where it is, and this whole thing is being up here instead. That will affect the sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look here on these tabs right here. And as you can see, one says ground or G and D. And that's what this is. I painted it black so that you will know. And now I'm going to solder it to there. And first, I'm dipping it in my flux, just a little bit like so. And then I'm taking my soldering iron and a little bit of solder, and I'm attaching it right here, like so. And I accidentally bridged the connections, which you have to be very careful not to do. That's one of the mistakes that you very easily can do. So don't do that. And then I take the other one that I didn't paint on, and I'm attaching it here to the out, like so. So now, just to make things a little bit easier and to explain what I've done in a sort of schematic kind of way. Now, at the moment, this whole thing here doesn't exist. And that has turned this pedal, basically, from being a distortion into an overdrive pedal. This is something you can do, and if you do, you'll basically have already modded the pedal. And the way I achieved that, again, was by not having any diodes here, or rather down there. And I haven't attached anything to these. As soon as I attach something here, then the circus will change. Okay, so let's jump into experimenting with sound. I'm going to be playing this guitar right here. If you're new to the channel, this is Mikey. It has humbucker-sized P90s, and I really like this guitar. I feel like this has sort of become my, my channel guitar or something. Like it's, I don't know. This is like my custom model signature guitar or something. I don't know. I'm being silly right now, but I just wanted to show you so you know what kind of guitar it is. I'm going into a small Fender practice amp as well, and I'm miking it up with an SM57. Basic things. So yeah, let's jump into it. Woo! So here we have the pedal right now, and I haven't done anything to it. I'm just going to play you a little bit of guitar just to show you the true bypass, and then we're going to kick in the pedal. Obviously you can't see the LED because it's on the other side of the pedal, but you'll notice when I click it. And the first thing you will notice, or at least you will notice when you're playing it, you might not notice it in the video, but there is going to be a lot more volume, basically. You could think of this as, a boost pedal or something, but everything is set to 12 o'clock, and that's where the controls are going to be for this video. I'm not going to mess with them in this video. Obviously, if you're doing this yourself, you should mess with the controls a bunch, and you should take your time, but I don't want to make a video that is, 6 hours long. Or, I mean, I do want to do that, but it's hard enough to keep people's attention, for 20 minutes. So, here is the guitar. Something like that. And now I kick it in, and it's on. So it's really boosting the signal, and it doesn't have that much distortion, but you can dirty up the amp a little bit or something, and you can get some really nice sounds. But anyway, now we can start experimenting. And because I want to just explain this to anyone who's new here so that you understand, when we look at this, we have two diodes going in opposite direction to ground, being clipped. But if you've seen my other diode clipping videos, you know that I take those diodes and I put them going in opposite direction, twist the legs together and create a little diode clipping circuit, I suppose you could call it, or something. They look like this. And we're going to experiment with putting a bunch of different things here and see what happens. And basically what we're doing is we're taking the signal and we're grounding some of it to ground. We're basically grounding off some of the signal. And depending on what we do, we'll get different effects. So now I have two red LEDs here, and we'll just see how that changed the sound. have some blue LEDs. I think we're gonna move the controls a little bit, because I think we don't need that much more volume, but we do need more clipping, because we're not clipping enough. So we need to have more of the dist control up, because otherwise we're not using it enough. So let's There's not much happening. Let's just try something else real quickly. See what happens. Okay, let's see here. Do I have anything fun in my bin of things? I do have these. That might be fun. I've twisted the legs of two transistors together so we can clip through transistors. Okay, so we're not getting a lot of difference. And the reason why is because we've changed where the clipping is occurring, and we've moved it to a place where the parts won't really matter that much because they're not affecting the other parts. So we have to take a step back and unsolder these and attach them to two of these wires here. This won't be a problem because we don't need to have a bunch of clipping. So what I'm gonna do is because they're both going to the same place, so I'm gonna just remove two of these, take a piece of masking tape to cover them up, just so that I don't get any weird interference or something, that might be annoying for me. Put them to the side like that, and then I'm gonna add these. In this case, it doesn't really matter which one we put on which, because we're going to continue using the diode clipping that I have prepared. Okay, so I've soldered them in place. I put a little bit of masking tape over just so nothing touches the bare wires there. And now we can start experimenting with putting some of these clippings on in this place instead. So here we have two green LEDs. There's a little bit of a difference there. Let's see what happens if we check these two diodes instead. These are I can't see what it says that they are, sorry, but it's nothing special, so you don't have to worry. Yeah. take something else, just for fun. Let's try this big capacitor again and just see what happens. It's probably gonna be fun. It's very muddy, and yeah, I mean, I kind of like it. Yeah, if you want to make this into a jazz pedal, for example, or something, you could probably have fun with that. I don't know. Or maybe this is not jazz, I don't know. Let's add something else to see what happens. Do I have something fun here to show you? I don't think I have anything fun, but we'll try something and see what happens. I wish I had some like really old, rare, crazy things, but I don't. And that killed it. The signal's going to ground. Here's a capacitor that I think I took out from a guitar. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it muddied it up just a very, very small amount, so not really worth showing you, I suppose. But this is sort of how you would go about like freehand modding things. Just attach things to different places and see what happens. I kind of like that. I don't know. Here is two other diode clippings. I can't speak. Come on. There we go. Oh, that's pretty nice. I feel like playing Green Day. Sorry. I like this. Gave it a, I don't know, I mean, almost a little tube screamish, I suppose. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And here we have a tiny little microphone. And this is one of those things that probably it matters which way they are connected. And then we have this thing here that I almost forgot. Had a lot of fun with that last time. Or not last time, but the time before. Ah, come on. There we go. And I mean, it's got really quiet, so. Oh, let me just. I know we weren't gonna mess with the controls, but I just. Haha, there it is. yeah, it becomes a old radio simulator pedal, basically. I think this thing here has such an interesting thing that it does to the sound. Like it gets crackly, and it's like not a distortion that is clipping, it's more of a distortion that is crackling. But I mean, it is everything is maxed out now, and that wasn't very loud, you know. Like now I've basically pulled it back to like 1 o'clock somewhere, and it's louder than max with that thing on. So yeah, I don't know. I want to try this here, which is it's an IN 539, or two of them put together, but you know what I mean. See if that does anything. Yeah, it thins it out a little bit, but it's a pretty nice clipping as well. I think that, you know, whatever you do, you're gonna have fun. So just experiment, you know. This is the point of the video, to sort of go, oh well. And you noticed that when I moved these back here instead of having them there, it did change the effect that these parts have on the circuit. Before it was way more subtle and the parts didn't really matter that much, but now they matter a lot. And that's because the clipping, the parts in themselves is not the thing, it's how they change the rest of the circuit and how they're changing the bias of the other parts and things like that. We're not really going to go into that in this video, because that's things that I want to talk about in later, more advanced things. But you can definitely look at this, especially if you know more about circuits and things, and you can find where to change things will affect things the most. Ooh, but this is pretty cool. Let's do a before and after on this. Let's see. I don't remember what I played. I have like a goldfish memory or something. I played something and forgot it immediately. I think this has it's definitely quieter, and there's a lot of noise, but also, I mean, it's, you know, a bunch of wires, so it's... So that's the end. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you found something interesting about it. I hope you could hear the difference between where something is happening as well. It's not just about what kind of clipping you're using, you know, germanium or silicon, or it's also about where. And I hope this sort of got the balls and the gears in your head to start going and spinning. And yeah, I hope this inspired and helped, and that you found it at least somewhat interesting. And if you've been here for a while, or maybe if you built a couple of pedal kits, maybe you will try to find something interesting. And as I said in the beginning of the video, we are gonna do more of this, and we're gonna experiment a little bit more with this one. So if you either have the kit or you're thinking of getting it, there are more videos gonna come with it, so we'll be able to work and look at them together. The great thing with having a pedal kit that we both have is that we will have the same schematic and we will have the same outline on the board. So if I tell you that, hey, change around R7, you know what I'm talking about. But if we're all building different things, then R7 will have a lot of different meanings. Obviously, you can build whatever you want. And I have other videos where I do the kind of similar experiments, but I don't go so much about where the clipping is happening, but changing parts out. I have a couple of those videos already with experiments. And so if you want to, you can watch those videos, maybe get you to build one of those LM pedals that I've been doing, the LM386. Yeah, but anyway, I hope this helped. I hope this was informative, educational, interesting, fun, and that you either got inspired or learned something. And if you want to, you can talk to me in the comments below, or you can talk to me over on Instagram if you, for example, have the pedal kit and you want to build something and you want to ask me a little bit more or show me pictures of the pedal you've made. It's always fun to see the pedals you guys are making. You're so good at making them look nice. I need to spend some time making my pedal look nice. I feel like that's a video that will have to be made soon, because yeah, there is something missing in that department for me. But anyway, until next time, don't forget to press the like and the subscribe if you're new here, and ring the bell for notifications, because I have a new video every week. And also, don't forget to stay awesome and cool, and go and experiment with where the clipping is happening, but also what you can replace the clipping with. For example, a capacitor or something like that might change things around and just give you something new and cool and interesting. So you never know what will happen with whatever pedal it is you have. Be careful so you doesn't burn up, but you know, things happen, and sometimes they happen for no reason.